Hey, good afternoon. It's Raven Tactical, and this is going to be the other side of the video for today. The one thing that I want to talk about is our faith. Some of the reasons I've been off is just been busy with projects and busy with things. So yeah, I took a couple months off, uploaded a few things at a time. But our faith has become stronger and more important. Now, to describe this, people like Bear Independent, Pastor Joe Fox, Shield Bearer Faith, they are Torah observant people. And I didn't really know what that meant. And watching Bear, he talked about the scriptures, which is basically a Hebrew translation, like an Hebrew to English translation of the Bible. And it's a very Torah-ish observant Bible. And what I mean by Torah observant, and I'm not the best person to describe this, but basically a Torah observant Christian, if you want to call it that, is someone who is learning to respect the laws of Moses or the Old Testament laws. And now there's different laws for various things, but the basic laws for the average person you can find in Leviticus. And they're food laws and how to live laws and the Ten Commandments and all these things. We're not fully Torah at this point, me and Mrs. Raven, but we're leaning towards it, learning more about it before we kind of jump in with both feet. The reason I like the Torah community and I like what Torah is because Torah communities are how I would predict, or I shouldn't say predict, how I view the original church was. The original church wasn't a massive cathedral meeting on here with 10,000 people and all this like symbolic icons and stuff, which I don't think are right. And it's all these things, and then you get a message, and then you spend 15 minutes singing, you spend 15 minutes in like information, and 20 minutes in a speech, and then you're out the door, and maybe you're back to doing the same thing that you're doing. There's no meat with your church. However, in Torah community, you're doing the things in a small community, usually with small friends, and maybe not everybody's Torah, but you're in a small home church doing things together, and you're doing things in that way, like that you're building community, and you're also working together in Christ, and you're working together learning how to live, and you're in the Bible, and you're in it. And right now it's been great. Like, I've been solidly in devotions since October. Solidly in devotions, pretty much. I can only count on one hand a few days that I missed, morning devotions, and that's just it. But it's been pretty solid based in devotions and reading. And my goal is to read the Bible from cover to cover. I'm in 2 Kings right now. And I just really see it. Like, it's been amazing. Inside our little small Meg community, where me and Mrs. Raven are probably more Torah observant or leaning that way. The rest of our group, technically, I would say, is not. And that's fine. You don't have to be this way. You can get along. You can be together as Christians. And what it is we decided that we basically had started leaving the church. We had left the main church and everything that went with it. And I think churches in general, the reasons why we left are right there. Like I said, usually it's a weak message that's non-relatable to things that are going on. It's not teaching or not preparing your flock to deal with the current events in life. There's a lot of things going on right now that are making people very nervous, and churches are generally either head in the sand ignoring it, or they're just cluelessly gone the whole left route and doing the whole BLM movement. So, I mean, it's two things, they've either sided with government with masks and mandates and vaccines, or it's not. They've just basically chosen to put their head in the sand and give a weak grace message. I'm not going to say every church is this way, but for the majority of the ones that I've been to, it's that way. And it's meaningless to the people in the crowd. Like, you can't remember what exactly was said the next day. So what we chose to do, because we all came together and said, well, why don't we just split it? We have 3 main families, and each family will take a Sunday, or technically we're going to try to do Sabbath, but we've been doing Saturday or Sunday. We're flexible, and that's the nice thing about a small church. And each family will take, you take this Saturday, next Saturday, and you rotate through. What it does, nobody's really a ordained pastor. Well, one of them is, but you don't have to sit there and be like, well, I'm a subject matter expert. Only those people can lead. No, we actually rotate through. You do something that God, Elohim, we call it, and we're asking, open it to us, and they, what you get told by God to talk about, or it's something you're in the reading, like you're doing your devotions and you pick this up, and you go through it, right now, and each person kind of has like a different style with what they want. I personally like doing, some of these like tributes to bringing stuff forward. Like I did the whole Daniel, and when Daniel was captured. So my once I got comfortable with it, I really did. I did the meaning of church, the meaning of Christmas and how that kind of folded. And then I went into the whole Daniel, the book of Daniel, and the early part of it, where his three buddies and Daniel basically got thrown under the bus. They were captured, and then they were forced to basically remove, at an indoctrination camp, to remove everything that was law, biblical law to them. It was all the things that brought you closer to God, and they wanted to erase your history. And I talked about how they chose to stay with it, stay with their belief and the things that God told them to do. And they were better for it. They were rewarded for it. And I'm not saying that you will be rewarded for following God's law, but it was these things. Like, I've never had it told this way in a normal church. And I sat there and I said, these are things that the world we look at around us is doing now. They're indoctrinating your kids. They're indoctrinating everybody. So I said, these are the things. And you can relate it to what's going on in life. So I think, not everybody that watches this channel is Christian or whatever, but I would say, if you are in your faith and you're going to church and your church just does not seem to draw you in, or it does not seem to be the church that, you're not learning anything, you're not drawn in, you're not doing this, well, I recommend you walk out and form your own. Walk out. Obviously pray about this, but walk out, start your own church. Start your own church with two, even if it's one other family from your church or in your area, just do that and make it a habit and become this. And you know what? Here's the thing that we made it easy. We don't meet in the morning. We could, but what we do is we have dinner. So then you're breaking bread with people, you're eating together, you're sharing meals, you're having a story, you're sharing things, and you're in God. And what I would tell people is, when you start doing that and you start diving into the Word every single day, you start seeing things instead of being told. And I look at it from a perspective too, like how, it wasn't too long ago that the average Joe blue-collar citizen could read. It wasn't common. So you were always told what it was. You were told about these things. So I would strongly recommend you have a Bible. I would recommend reading the scriptures because I think it's a little bit more accurately translated and some of the wording is better. I would also recommend using the Blue Letter Bible app to kind of get a feel of some context sometimes. Like there's a little bit of context missing. Use that as a context clue. And it'll also bring up other verses to support it too. So, these are things that I'm telling you about. Really, I would say, get out of there, my people. They talk about it on Bear Independent, and they talk about Joe. Get out of there, and come to me. And I think that's why there's a mass exodus on church. And I think people really need to take it home, because I think you could be the light to your community when you're in fellowship. I have never felt better than with doing my home church thing. With that, I'm going to sign off. Again, I'm following this with this option for people. If you need prayers, if you have a prayer request, if you have some things that you want us to pray for you or support you or kind of give advice on, feel free to drop a comment about this. If you're asking questions about Torah, let me know. So just have a good day. Thank you.